Please don't harm us. We are innocent.
Please spare us.
Forgive us.
You will pay for your arrogance today.
Daniel leaned in. Just one small kiss. That was all he wanted. It was their first day, their beginning. Daniel smiled, his hand warm around Zara's trembling fingers. She laughed softly, shy and nervous. That was when the door creaked. Not a normal creak, something slid across the floor. Daniel froze. Zara's smile faded. Then Zara screamed, "Daniel!" He turned. The bedroom door was wide open, and something enormous was coming in. It was a giant snake. Its body was thick like a tree trunk, dark and shiny, scraping against the marble floor. Its tail filled the doorway. Its scales caught the light as it moved, slow and sure, like it had all the time in the world. But that was not the worst part. The head. The snake's head was not a snake's head. It was the face of an old woman. Wrinkled, dark-skinned, with deep, tired eyes and grey, disheveled hair hanging around her face. Her mouth opened slowly, and she spoke. Daniel. His name fell from her, lips like a curse. Daniel's legs gave way. He pulled Zara closer, his heart slamming against his chest so hard it hurt. "Please," he cried, his voice shaking, "please don't harm us. We are innocent. We just got married. This is our first night. We have not wronged you in any way." Zara was already crying. Tears ran freely down her face as she dropped to her knees, pulling Daniel with her. Her hands shook as she pressed her palms together, begging. "Please, please spare us," she sobbed. "Whatever we did, forgive us, please." The snake laughed. It was not loud. It was low and dry, like leaves being crushed. "Innocent?" the old woman's face asked, eyes locking on Daniel. "You say innocent?" The snake lifted its head higher. "It is time to pay for your arrogance." The words hit Daniel like a slap. Arrogance. The room spun. His breath caught in his throat, and suddenly, without warning, a memory forced its way into his mind. 2 weeks earlier. A busy morning, IKEA, traffic, noise, horns. He was late for work, very late. Daniel remembered the heat on his skin as he stepped out of his car near the underbridge, adjusting his suit, checking his watch again and again. He remembered the old woman, the same face, standing by the roadside. Her clothes were torn, her slippers worn thin. She had stretched out her hand gently, not blocking his way, just asking, "Please, my son, help me." He remembered the anger that rose in him for no good reason, the way he snapped, the way he raised his hand, the sound, sharp, clear, a slap. People had stared, the old woman had fallen. He remembered her eyes then too, not angry, not loud, just hurt. Back in the bedroom, Daniel screamed, "No, no, it can't be." The snake opened its mouth wider, its tongue flicked out. Before Daniel could say another word, before he could beg, before he could even breathe properly, the snake spat, straight, into his face. Daniel howled, "My eyes! My eyes! I can't see!" He clawed at his face, stumbling backward, crashing into the bedside table. The lamp fell and shattered. Zara screamed his name over and over, shaking him, calling for help. The snake began to retreat, slowly, its huge body sliding back toward the door. As it vanished, the old woman's voice echoed one last time. "This is just the beginning." Then it was gone. Gone like it was never there. Only silence remained. And Daniel's screams. Zara didn't think. She moved. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands and called their driver, shouting through tears. Within minutes, the house was in chaos. Security rushed in. Lights came on everywhere. But there was no snake, no broken door, nothing. Except Daniel. Crying and now blind. At the hospital, the bright lights burned Zara's eyes as she paced the waiting area. Daniel sat on a wheelchair, his face swollen, his eyes wrapped in bandages, his hands clutching her clothes like a child afraid of being lost. When the doctor finally spoke, his voice was calm. Too calm. "Madam, the damage is serious," he said gently. "Your husband has lost his sight. We will do all we can, but he may never see again." Zara felt the world tilt. The first night of their marriage turned into the worst day of their lives. That night, back at the mansion, everything felt different. too big and too quiet. Daniel held a walking stick now. Zara guided him slowly into the living room and helped him sit on the sofa. She knelt in front of him, holding his hands tightly. Her voice was soft but steady. "Daniel, I love you. I still do," she said. "But please, tell me the truth. The snake said it was time to pay for your arrogance. What did you do?" Daniel's shoulders shook. Tears fell freely. He dropped the walking stick and went down on his knees, feeling the floor with his hands. "I slapped her," he cried. "An old beggar, 2 weeks ago. She only asked for help. I said she was wasting my time." Zara covered her mouth. "And her face," he continued, voice breaking. "It was her face." He lifted his head blindly toward her. "Please," he begged, "take me to her. I need to beg her." "Please." Zara said nothing, but her heart was already racing. Some mistakes don't end when you make them. They wait. And now something was waiting for them. Morning came, but it did not feel like morning. Light entered the mansion through the tall windows, touching the walls, the floor, the framed wedding photos that now felt strange and painful. Everything looked the same, yet nothing felt right. Zara had not slept. Daniel had not slept either. He sat on the edge of the bed, fully dressed, holding his walking stick with both hands, like it was the only solid thing left in his world. His eyes were still wrapped in white bandages. He kept turning his head, listening, trying to understand, where he was by sound alone. Zara stood by the window, watching the city wake up. Cars passed. A generator hummed somewhere nearby. Life was moving forward like nothing had happened. But inside this house, time had stopped. Zara finally turned. "Daniel," she said softly. "Yes," he answered at once, too fast, like he was afraid she might disappear. "We'll go," she said. "We'll look for her." Daniel exhaled a long, shaky breath. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you." She nodded, though he could not see it, but inside, fear sat heavy in her chest, because deep down, Zara knew something was wrong, very wrong. They left the house later that morning. The driver opened the car door carefully, helping Daniel step in. Neighbors watched from a distance, whispering. News traveled fast, especially when rich people fell. Zara sat beside Daniel in the back seat, holding his hand the whole time. "I'm here," she kept saying. "I'm right here." The car moved into traffic. Ikeja was loud as always. Buses honked, hawkers shouted, motorcycles raced past like angry bees. Daniel listened. Every sound felt sharper now. "Slow down," he said suddenly. "That bend. I remember it." Zara looked at him, surprised. "You recognize the road?" He nodded slowly. "I walked here that day. I parked far because of traffic." Her stomach tightened. They were close. The underbridge looked exactly the same. Concrete pillars, dirty ground, small shelters made of cardboard and zinc. People sitting, lying down, waiting for something they could not name. Zara stepped out first, then helped Daniel. He stood still, breathing deeply, his face tight with emotion. "She was here," he said. "Right there." He pointed, unsure, his hand shaking. Zara looked. There was no old woman, only a boy sleeping on a sack. Zara approached gently. "Please," she said, kneeling. "Did an old woman stay here? Dark-skinned, grey hair, quiet." The boy shook his head. "She left," he said. "Long time." "How long?" Zara asked. The boy shrugged. "Some days." Daniel's shoulders slumped. Zara searched everywhere, behind pillars, near the roadside, under makeshift tents. They asked people, beggars, traders, Okada riders. Some shook their heads, some did not answer. Some stared at Daniel's bandaged eyes with pity, then looked away. By afternoon the sun was hot. Zara wiped sweat from her face. Daniel stood silently, gripping his walking stick. "She's not here," he said quietly. Zara swallowed. "We'll try again," she said. "Maybe another place." Daniel nodded, but his voice was small. "What if she doesn't want to be found?" The thought hung between them, heavy. That night, Daniel did not eat. He sat on the sofa, listening to the ticking of the wall clock, each second loud and cruel. Zara brought him water. "Drink," she said. He shook his head. "I deserve this," he said. "Everything." Zara knelt in front of him. "Daniel," she said firmly, "what you did was wrong, yes. But this is not the end." He laughed bitterly. "Isn't it?" She held his face gently, careful of the bandages. "You are alive," she said. "And you can still change." Her voice cracked. "And I married you because I believe in who you can be, not who you were on your worst day." Daniel said nothing, but tears slid down his cheeks. The next day they went out again, this time farther. They checked other bridges, other streets where beggars gathered. Zara spoke to market women, offering money for information, not help. "Please," she kept saying, "we are looking for Mama, an old woman. She needs help." Some people laughed, some were suspicious, some told them stories that went nowhere. By evening they were exhausted. Daniel's head hurt, his body felt heavy. Back in the car he finally spoke. "Zara," he said quietly. "Yes? If I never see again, will you leave me?" The question hit her like a slap. She turned to him sharply. "Don't ever say that," she said. "But answer me," he insisted. She took a deep breath. "No," she said, "I will not." He nodded slowly, but inside him fear was growing. Not fear of darkness, fear of being unworthy. On the third morning, Zara woke early. She could not explain it, but something pushed her out of bed. A thought, a name. Mama Emeka. The name had not come from Daniel. It came like a whisper. Zara sat up, heart racing. "Daniel," she said, shaking him gently, "wake up." "What is it?" he asked sleepily. I think I know her name." He sat up at once. "What?" "Mama Emeka." Silence. Daniel frowned. "How do you know?" "I don't," Zara said honestly, "but I feel it, strongly." They acted fast. Zara made calls, spoke to a woman from church who worked with outreach programs, spoke to a driver who knew the area well, asked questions that felt strange even to her, and slowly pieces came together. Mama Emeka, an old woman, used to stay under bridges, moved recently. Someone said she was sick. Someone else said she had been taken away by a group of women. By afternoon, they had an address, an uncompleted building, along Lagos University Road. Zara's hands trembled as she held Daniel's arm. "We're close," she said. Daniel's heart pounded. The building stood alone, grey, half-built, no doors, no windows, just open spaces and rough cement. Zara helped Daniel out of the car. People stared. A woman washing clothes nearby paused. Zara approached her slowly. "Please," she said. "Mama Emeka, does she stay here?" The woman studied Zara's face, then Daniel's bandaged eyes. Her expression changed. "Yes," she said softly. "She is. Inside." Zara's breath caught. "Please," she said, "we need to see her." The woman nodded and stepped aside. Zara guided Daniel into the building. The air inside was cool and damp. Their footsteps echoed. Then they heard it, a cough, dry, weak. Daniel stopped walking, his knees buckled. Zara held him. They moved closer, and then they saw her. Mama Emeka sat on a small mat, wrapped in old cloth. Her hair was grey and wild, her face thin, her eyes sharp, even in weakness. She looked up, her gaze landed on Daniel, and she did not look surprised. "So," she said calmly, "you came." Daniel dropped his walking stick. He fell to his knees. "Mama, please," he cried, "forgive me." Zara knelt too, tears streaming. "We are sorry," she said, "so sorry." Mama Emeka stared at them, long, silent. The room felt tight, like it was holding its breath. Then Mama Emeka spoke again. "If not for your wife," she said slowly, "I would not have listened." Daniel sobbed. She stretched out her hand and placed it gently on his head. "Be good," she said. "Your eyes will see again. But not today." Zara gasped. Hope rushed in like air after drowning. Mama Emeka closed her eyes and prayed softly. Her words were low, old, heavy. When she finished, she looked at Daniel. "Go," she said, "and change." They left quietly. Outside, Daniel clutched Zara's hand. "Did you hear her?" he asked. "She said I will see again." Zara nodded, smiling through tears. "Yes," she said, "she did." But as they drove away, neither of them noticed Mama Emeka watching from the doorway. Her eyes were calm, too calm, and far away thunder rolled softly in the sky. The rain started halfway home, not heavy at first, just slow drops tapping the windshield, like fingers knocking gently, asking to be let in. Zara watched the road carefully as the driver focused ahead. Daniel sat quietly beside her, his head leaning slightly toward the window, listening. Every sound felt louder now, the hum of the engine, the splash of tires on wet tar, the soft breathing of his wife beside him. His mind replayed Mama Emeka's voice again and again. Be good. Your eyes will see again. But not today. Not today. Daniel clenched his fists. Zara felt it immediately. She squeezed his hand. What are you thinking? She asked. He hesitated. I'm afraid, he said honestly. Of what? That I don't deserve what she said. Zara swallowed. None of us deserves mercy, she replied softly. That's why it is mercy. He nodded slowly. Outside, the rain grew heavier. When they arrived at the mansion, the house looked too big, too proud, too loud in its silence. Daniel paused at the entrance. Take me to the living room, he said. Zara guided him carefully. He sat on the sofa, placing his walking stick neatly beside him, as if he were already learning a new way to live. That night, Daniel did something he had never done before. He asked questions. Not about business, not about money, not about plans, about people. Zara, he said quietly as they sat together, how do people survive under bridges? Zara looked at him, surprised. They survive because they must, she answered. Some days are good, many days are not. He nodded. And old people, like Mama Emeka. Who helps them? Zara hesitated. Sometimes churches, sometimes strangers, sometimes no one. Daniel's chest tightened. No one. That word followed him into sleep. The next morning, Daniel woke early. Too early. He sat up in bed, listening. Birds, a distant horn, footsteps of staff moving around. He felt different, heavier, like something important had been placed on his shoulders. Zara woke later and found him already dressed, sitting on the edge of the bed. You didn't sleep, she said gently. He shook his head. I was thinking. She sat beside him. I don't want to go back to who I was, he said. Zara smiled sadly. Then don't. I don't know how, he admitted. She thought for a moment. Start small, she said. Let today be different from yesterday. He nodded. That day, Daniel refused to stay inside. He asked Zara to take him out. Not to meetings, not to offices, to the city. They went to a small roadside food place in Ikeya. Daniel sat quietly, listening to people talk, to laughter, to arguments, to life happening all around him. When a young boy approached to sell sachet water, Daniel flinched. The boy's voice was soft. Sir, please. Daniel's body went stiff. Zara watched him closely. Slowly, Daniel reached into his pocket and placed money into the boy's hand. Thank you, he said. The boy smiled brightly and ran off. Daniel exhaled. One small step. Days passed. Daniel began to change in ways even he did not fully understand. He listened more. He spoke less. When staff greeted him, he greeted back. Properly. By name. When Zara spoke, he paid attention. Real attention. At night, he prayed. I don't want to hurt people anymore, he whispered into the darkness. Please help me. Sometimes his eyes burned with pain. Sometimes he woke crying. The doctor said the damage was still there. No improvement. Zara never told Daniel how afraid she was. But at night when he slept, she cried silently. One afternoon, Daniel surprised her. I want to do something for Mama Emeka, he said. Zara turned. Like what? She should not live like that, he said firmly. Not after what I did. Zara felt her throat tighten. But she told us to go, she said. She didn't ask for anything. I know, Daniel replied. That's why I want to do it quietly. He paused. Without her knowing, it's me. Zara stared at him. This was not the man she married 2 weeks ago. And somehow, it made her love him more. The reconstruction started quietly. Daniel used a trusted assistant. No names, no praise, just instructions. The uncompleted building was repaired, walls strengthened, windows fixed, a proper door installed, a small generator provided, clean water arranged. Mama Emeka was moved gently into a safer room. She asked questions, but no clear answers came. At night, Daniel imagined her sleeping safely, and for the first time since the wedding night, he slept peacefully. Weeks passed. Daniel learned the city in a new way, by sound, by touch, by patience. He counted steps, memorized rooms, learned how to pour water without spilling, learned how to listen without interrupting. People noticed. Whispers spread. Daniel has changed. Blindness humbled him. His wife stayed. Zara stood by him through everything. Sometimes she was strong, sometimes she was tired, but she stayed. Exactly 1 month after the night of the snake, Daniel woke before dawn. The house was silent. Too silent. He sat up slowly. Something felt strange. His eyes burned, not pain, pressure. He lifted his hand to his face. "Zara," he whispered. She stirred. "Yes?" "My eyes, they feel warm." Zara sat up instantly. "Warm how?" "I don't know," he said. Like sunlight is behind them." Her heart started racing. She turned on the bedside lamp. Daniel winced, then froze. "Turn it off," he said quickly. Zara's breath caught. "Why?" "It's too bright," he said. Silence. The room seemed to hold its breath. Zara's hands shook as she slowly waved her hand in front of his face. "Daniel," she whispered, barely breathing, "how many fingers am I holding up?" He frowned, concentrating. 1, 2. He stopped. Tears filled his eyes. I think I see shadows," Zara screamed, not in fear, in joy. "Oh my God," she cried, "you're seeing." Daniel laughed and cried at the same time. "I can see something," he said, "not clear, but something." They rushed to the hospital. Doctors were shocked. Tests were done. Results were confusing. Medically, the doctor said carefully, "This should not be happening so soon." But it was. Daniel's sight was returning, slowly, bit by bit. Hope flooded their lives again. That night, Daniel sat quietly in the living room. Zara brought him tea. "You're really seeing again," she said, smiling. "Yes," he replied softly, "and I don't want to forget why." He paused. "Zara, do you think Mama Emeka knows?" Zara shook her head. "No." Daniel nodded. "I want to tell her," he said. "Not yet, but one day." Zara smiled. Outside, the wind blew gently, and far away, unseen by them, Mama Emeka sat quietly in her repaired room, holding a rosary in her hands. She smiled faintly and whispered to herself, "He is learning." But deep in her eyes, something else flickered. Something old. Something powerful. And somewhere between sleep and waking, Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. As if the story was not done with him yet. Daniel's sight did not return all at once. It came like a shy visitor. A little today. A little more tomorrow. Some mornings, the world looked like fog. Other mornings, it felt sharper, almost clear. Colors returned before faces. Light before detail, and with every improvement, fear followed closely behind hope. "What if it stops?" Daniel asked one night as Zara adjusted the lamp. Zara paused. "Then we keep going," she said, "like we have been." He nodded, but his hands trembled. Because deep down, Daniel knew something important. The miracle was not free. It had conditions. The doctor warned them gently. "Don't rush it," he said. "Your eyes are healing, but they are fragile." Daniel listened. Once in his life, he truly listened. He stopped driving, stopped shouting orders, stopped moving like the world owed him speed. He moved slowly now, carefully, as if every step mattered. But change always attracts attention, and attention brings temptation. One afternoon, Daniel's phone rang, a familiar voice, his business partner. "Daniel, we need you," the man said urgently. "The board meeting is tomorrow. Investors are nervous." Daniel hesitated. "I'm not ready," he said. "They say you're getting better," the man pushed. "This is the time to show strength." Strength. The word tasted bitter. Daniel remembered the slap, the snake, the darkness. "I'll think about it," he said, and ended the call. Zara had heard everything. She sat beside him quietly. "You don't have to go," she said. Daniel rubbed his face. "But I want to face the world again, as who I am now." Zara studied him. "Then go as this man," she said, "not the old one." The boardroom was silent when Daniel walked in the next day. People stood, some out of respect, some out of shock. Daniel's eyes were still sensitive, protected by lightly tinted glasses. He moved carefully, guided more by memory than vision. As he sat, whispers filled the air. "He's changed." Blindness humbled him. His wife saved him. Daniel took a breath and spoke. "I won't shout today," he said calmly. "I won't threaten, and I won't rush anyone." The room froze. "If this company will grow," he continued, "it will grow with respect. For workers, for customers, for everyone." Some people smiled, others looked uncomfortable. One man scoffed quietly. Daniel heard it. He turned his head slowly. "I hear doubt," Daniel said. "That's fine. I once doubted kindness too." The meeting ended differently than anyone expected. No anger, no insults, no pride, just calm decisions. Zara waited outside when Daniel came out. She searched his face anxiously. "How was it?" she asked. Daniel smiled faintly. "I didn't lose myself," he said. She hugged him tightly. That night, Daniel dreamed. Not of the snake, not of darkness. He dreamed of Mama Emeka. She stood far away, her face unreadable. When he tried to walk toward her, the ground cracked. He woke up sweating. "Zara," he whispered. She woke instantly. "I dreamed of her," he said, but she didn't smile. Zara sat up. Dreams don't always mean danger. But Daniel was not convinced. Something felt unfinished. The next morning, news reached them. Mama Emeka was missing. The message came quietly through the same woman who had helped Zara find her before. "She's not in the building," the woman said over the phone. "Her things are still there, but she's gone." Zara's heart dropped. Daniel went still. "Gone?" he repeated. "Yes," the woman said. "No one saw her leave." Daniel's hands clenched. "She wouldn't leave without reason," he said. Zara felt it too, a cold fear. "What if she's angry?" Zara whispered. Daniel shook his head slowly. "She forgave me," he said, "but forgiveness doesn't erase consequences." They decided to go, immediately. The uncompleted building felt different, empty, too quiet. The mat was there, the repaired walls stood strong, but Mama Emeka was gone. Zara searched frantically, calling her name. "Mama Emeka!" No answer. Daniel stood still, listening. Then he heard it, a faint whisper, not a voice, a feeling. "You're not done." His knees weakened. Zara rushed to him. "Daniel." "I feel it again," he said, shaking, "the way I felt before the snake came." Zara's eyes filled with tears. "We need to find her," she said, "now." Days passed, no sign. Daniel's sight stopped improving, not worsening, just paused. The doctor noticed. "It's strange," he said. "The progress has stalled." Daniel nodded quietly. At night, he prayed harder. "I'm trying," he whispered. "Please." Zara watched him break slowly, not loudly, silently. One evening, as the sun dipped low, a knock came at the gate. Soft, careful. The security guard hesitated before answering, then called out loudly, "Madam, sir, there's an old woman here." Daniel's heart slammed. Zara ran. Mama Emeka stood at the gate, calm, clean, different. Her eyes were sharp, strong. She looked at Daniel. "You came looking," she said. Daniel fell to his knees immediately. "Yes," he said. "We did." She studied him. "You are changing," she said slowly, "but change is not only about regret." Zara stepped forward. "Please, tell us what more to do." Mama Emeka turned her gaze to Zara. "You have a good heart," she said. "That is why he still has hope." Daniel's chest tightened. "What do I still lack?" he asked. Mama Emeka's eyes darkened slightly. "You must face who you hurt," she said, "not just me." Silence fell. Daniel swallowed. "There are others," she continued, "people you dismissed, people you crushed with words." Daniel felt the weight of his past rise like a wall. "How?" he asked weakly. Mama Emeka took a step back. "Find them," she said, "and fix what you can, not with money alone." She turned to leave. "Mama," Zara called. Mama Emeka paused. "One more thing," she said without turning. "If pride returns, darkness will too." And with that, she walked away. Daniel remained on his knees, shaking, because he understood now. This was not punishment. This was a test, and he had not passed it yet. Far above them, thunder rumbled again, low, warning, and Daniel knew the hardest part of his journey had just begun. Daniel did not sleep that night. He sat on the edge of the bed, his feet touching the cold marble floor, his walking stick resting against the wall. Zara lay beside him, awake too, watching the slow rise and fall of his chest. The words echoed in his head. "You must face who you hurt." Not just Mama Emeka, others, many others. People he had pushed aside like dust. People whose names he never bothered to remember. Daniel rubbed his face slowly. "I thought I was changing," he said quietly. Zara shifted closer. "You are." "But it's not enough," he replied. "Not yet." She said nothing because she knew he was right. Change that stops halfway is just regret wearing nice clothes. At dawn, Daniel made a list, not on paper, in his head. Faces came first, moments, sharp and clear, like wounds reopening. A security guard he shouted at for opening the gate late, a cleaner he insulted for spilling water near his office door, a junior staff he embarrassed during a meeting just to prove power, a roadside woman he ignored when she begged. The day before he slapped Mama Emeka. Each memory came with a feeling. Shame. Daniel clenched his fists. "I remember them," he said. Zara looked up. "All of them?" "No," he admitted, "but enough to start." They began close to home. Daniel asked Zara to take him to his office. When staff saw him walk in, guided gently by his wife, the room went quiet. People stood, some bowed their heads, some looked away. Daniel asked for the cleaner, the one he had shouted at months ago. She came slowly, fear in her eyes. "Yes, sir," she whispered. Daniel took off his glasses. His eyes were not fully healed, but she could see the effort it took. "I'm sorry," he said. The room froze. "I spoke to you badly," he continued. "I made you feel small. That was wrong." The woman stared at him, shocked. "I forgive you, sir," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "Thank you, but forgiveness doesn't erase pain. If you need time, take it." People whispered. Something shifted in the air. Then came the harder visits. The security guard, the junior staff. Each apology felt like lifting a heavy stone from his chest. Some accepted quickly, some nodded quietly, some cried. One man did not forgive him. "Sorry doesn't give me back my dignity," the man said. Daniel bowed his head. "I understand." That night, Daniel cried harder than he had since losing his sight. Zara held him tightly. "You don't control forgiveness," she whispered, "only honesty." But one face refused to come clearly, a woman. Not old, not young, just tired. He remembered dismissing her from his car window months ago. He remembered saying, "Don't block my way." He never looked back. Daniel could not remember her name or where it happened. Only the feeling remained, unfinished. Days passed. Daniel's sight did not improve. The doctor confirmed it. "It has stabilized," he said carefully, "but it hasn't progressed." Zara nodded, politely, but fear settled deep in her bones. That night, Daniel prayed again. "Please," he whispered, "show me who I'm missing." Silence, then a dream. He stood in traffic, cars honking, people shouting. The same woman stood ahead, but this time she was holding a child. The child looked at Daniel and vanished. Daniel woke up gasping. "I know where," he said immediately. Zara sat up. "Where?" "The traffic junction near Ojodu," he said. "That's where it happened." They went the next morning. The junction was busy, loud, messy. Daniel stood quietly listening. Then he heard a familiar cough. He turned his head. "There," he said. Zara followed his direction. A woman sat under a small umbrella, holding a thin boy. Her face was tired, her eyes wary. Zara approached slowly. "Please," she said gently. Do you remember this man? The woman looked at Daniel. Her eyes narrowed. Yes, she said flatly. I remember him. Daniel stepped forward and dropped to his knees on the dusty road. People stared. Cars slowed. Please, Daniel said, voice shaking. I treated you badly. I'm sorry. The woman said nothing. The boy stared curiously. You didn't just ignore me, the woman said finally. You made me feel invisible. Daniel bowed his head. I was blind before I lost my sight, he said. Please forgive me. The woman sighed. You don't need my forgiveness, she said. You need to do better. She stood and walked away. Daniel remained on his knees. Zara helped him up. That still counts, she said. He nodded, though his heart ached. That evening, Mama Emeka appeared again. Not at the gate, in the living room. No one saw her enter. Daniel sensed her presence before he heard her voice. You are walking the path, she said. Daniel turned toward her. Is it enough? He asked. She studied him. Not yet, she said, but you are closer. Zara felt chills run through her. When will his sight return fully? Zara asked carefully. Mama Emeka's eyes softened. When humility becomes his habit, she replied, not his reaction. Daniel swallowed hard. I don't want to go back, he said. Mama Emeka nodded. Then don't, she said, because pride is patient, it waits. She turned toward the door. Mama, Daniel called, will I see again? She paused. That depends, she said quietly, on what you do next. And she was gone. That night, Daniel sat alone in the living room. The house lights were off, only moonlight filtered in. He held his walking stick loosely. Zara watched from the doorway. He spoke softly, not knowing she was there. If I never see again, let it at least mean something. Zara felt tears burn her eyes. She stepped forward. You will see, she said firmly, but even if you don't, you are already different. Daniel nodded, but deep inside, fear still lived, because he knew tests come in layers, and the next one would be harder. Outside, a sudden wind blew hard against the windows, the lights flickered, and somewhere far away, unseen, something old stirred. Waiting, watching, and ready. The storm came without warning, not rain first, not thunder, silence. A thick, heavy silence that pressed against the walls of the mansion and made the air feel tight. The generator went quiet. The city sounds outside faded, like Lagos itself had paused to watch. Daniel felt it before anything happened. He sat upright on the sofa, his walking stick resting across his knees, his half-healed eyes open but unfocused. Zara, he said quietly. She looked up from her phone. What is it? Something is coming. Her chest tightened. What do you mean? Before he could answer, the lights went out, completely. Zara gasped. Power's gone. No, Daniel said softly. This is different. The darkness felt deeper than usual, not the normal kind that comes when bulbs go off. This one felt alive, heavy, watching. Zara reached for Daniel's hand. I'm here, she said quickly. He squeezed back. Don't leave me. I won't. The clock on the wall stopped ticking. Then a sound, a slow clap, once, twice. Zara's breath caught. The sound came from inside the house. Someone was clapping. That's not possible, Zara whispered. Daniel stood slowly, heart racing. Mama Emeka, he called out. No answer. The clapping stopped. Then a voice filled the room, not loud, not soft, everywhere. You are learning humility, the voice said. But can you keep it when it costs you? Zara froze. Who is that? She demanded, fear mixing with anger. Daniel shook his head slowly. This is not Mama Emeka. The darkness shifted, and suddenly the living room changed. The walls seemed farther apart, the ceiling higher, the air colder. Daniel felt his vision sharpen slightly, enough to see shapes. And then he saw them. People, standing around the room. Men, women, young, old, all staring at him. Their faces were familiar. Too familiar. He recognized them. The cleaner, the junior staff, the security guard, the roadside woman with the child, and more. People he had forgotten, people he had hurt and never apologized to. Zara cried out, Daniel, I see them too. The figures stepped closer. Their mouths opened, and they spoke together. You changed because you lost something. Daniel's chest tightened. If you had not gone blind, the voices continued, would you have changed? Daniel dropped to his knees. Yes, he said quickly. I would have, I swear. The voices laughed, cold and cruel. Lies, they said. Pain taught you, not love. Zara knelt beside him, shaking. Stop this, she cried. He is trying. He is different. Now. One figure stepped forward. It was the junior staff member, the one who had refused to forgive him. Different when watched, the man said, but who are you when no one sees? Daniel's hands shook. I don't know, he whispered, but I'm trying to be better. The darkness pulsed, then the voice returned. Very well, it said, then prove it. The figures vanished. The room snapped back to normal. The lights flickered on. Zara gasped, looking around wildly. Daniel panted, drenched in sweat. What was that? She whispered. Daniel swallowed hard. A test, he said. Zara helped him up, guiding him back to the sofa. That wasn't fair, she said angrily. You're human. Daniel shook his head slowly. No, he said, that was necessary. The next morning, the test continued. Daniel received a call from the board, urgent. Daniel, the chairman said, there's a situation. Daniel listened, carefully. One of our construction sites collapsed last night, the man continued. No deaths, but injuries. Media is asking questions. Zara watched Daniel's face carefully. What do they want? Daniel asked. They want a statement, the chairman replied. Something strong, something that shifts blame. Daniel felt Zara's grip tighten on his arm. Shifts blame to who? Daniel asked. There was a pause. To the workers, the chairman said. Safety negligence. Daniel's stomach dropped. But were they negligent? He asked. Another pause. No, the man admitted. But investors, Daniel cut him off. No, he said calmly. What? The chairman snapped. I won't lie, Daniel said, and I won't sacrifice workers to protect money. You'll lose investors, the man warned. Daniel closed his eyes. I already lost my sight once, he said quietly. I won't lose my soul. The line went dead. Zara stared at him, stunned. You just risked everything, she said. Daniel nodded. I know. The backlash came fast. News headlines questioned his leadership. Shares dipped. Friends stopped calling. Whispers returned. He's weak now. Blindness softened him too much. Daniel felt the pressure building. At night, his head pounded. His vision blurred again. Fear crept back in. What if this is the price? What if doing right costs everything? Zara found him sitting alone in the dark one evening. You're shaking, she said softly. I'm afraid, he admitted. What if I can't protect us? Zara took his face in her hands. Daniel, she said firmly, if losing money is the cost of being human, then we'll pay it together. Tears spilled from his eyes. I don't deserve you, he whispered. She smiled sadly. That's not how love works. 2 days later, the hardest test arrived. A knock at the gate. Security rushed. In. Sir, madam, there's a crowd outside. Zara rushed to the window. People had gathered. Workers from the collapsed site. Families, some angry, some crying. Daniel stood slowly. Take me to them, he said. Zara's eyes widened. Daniel, are you sure? Yes, he said. This is part of it. Outside, murmurs rose as Daniel stepped forward. People stared at his glasses, his walking stick. Someone shouted, You ruined our lives. Another cried, My husband is injured. Daniel raised his hand slowly. Silence spread. I won't hide, he said. I won't deny responsibility. Gasps. I will pay hospital bills, he continued. I will rebuild, and I will not silence you. A man pushed forward angrily. Words, he spat. Daniel removed his glasses. His eyes were still not perfect, but they were seeing. I'm not asking you to trust me, Daniel said. I'm asking you to watch me. The crowd quieted. Zara stood beside him, holding his arm. A woman began to cry. Daniel stepped closer, despite the danger. I'm sorry, he said, not as a CEO, as a human being. Something broke, not in Daniel, in the crowd. Anger softened into grief, grief into tiredness. They did not cheer, but they listened, and that mattered. That night, Daniel collapsed into bed, exhausted. Zara sat beside him, brushing his hair gently. "You passed today," she whispered. He shook his head. "I don't know." Sleep took him quickly, but the dream came again. Mama Emeka stood before him, this time smiling slightly. "You almost failed," she said. Daniel bowed his head. "I know." She walked around him slowly. "You chose truth over comfort," she said. "That is rare." "Is it enough?" he asked, voice shaking. She stopped in front of him. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will know." He reached out to touch her, but she vanished. Daniel woke up gasping. Morning light filled the room. For the first time he could see Zara's face clearly, her eyes, her smile. He froze. "Zara," he whispered. She stirred. "Yes? I can see you." Her breath caught. "Clearly?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Yes." They stared at each other. Hope surged, but before joy could settle, a loud knock shook the house. Urgent, heavy. Security shouted from outside, "Sir, madam, there's a problem." Daniel's heart slammed, because he knew the final test never comes alone. The knock came again, louder this time, urgent, heavy, the kind of knock that does not wait for permission. Daniel was already on his feet. "I can walk," he said, gripping the edge of the bed, his heart racing. "I can see enough." Zara rushed to his side, steadying him. Her eyes searched his face, half joy, half fear. "Careful," she whispered. The security guard burst in, breathless. "Sir, madam, there's a woman at the gate," he said. "An old woman. She collapsed." Daniel froze, his chest tightened. "Mama Emeka," he said. Zara nodded. "Take us to her, now." The gate was open. A small crowd had gathered, neighbors, guards, curious onlookers. On the ground lay Mama Emeka, still, her grey hair spread around her head, her eyes closed, her breathing shallow. Daniel pushed forward, ignoring the murmurs. He dropped to his knees beside her, the gravel biting into his skin. "Mama," he whispered. "Please." Zara knelt too, checking her pulse. "She's alive," Zara said quickly, "but weak." Daniel looked at the old woman's face. He could see it now, clearly, the wrinkles, the lines of years, the strength that still lived in her bones. Tears streamed down his face. "This is my fault," he said. "If I had done more, sooner." Mama Emeka's eyes fluttered open. She looked straight at him. "You did," she said faintly. Daniel's breath caught. She lifted her hand weakly and placed it against his chest. "You chose truth when it cost you," she continued. "You chose humility when pride tried to return." Her fingers trembled. "That is enough." Zara leaned closer. "Mama, please don't talk. We're taking you to the hospital." Mama Emeka smiled softly. "No hospital," she said. "My journey is ending." Daniel shook his head desperately. "No," he said. "Please, I need to thank you. I need—" She interrupted him gently. "You already did," she said, "by becoming who you were meant to be." Daniel sobbed openly now. "I slapped you," he said. "I hurt you. I don't deserve forgiveness." Mama Emeka's eyes softened. "Deserving is not the point," she said. "Change is." She turned her gaze to Zara. "You," she said quietly. "You are the reason he stood up again." Zara's lips trembled. "Thank you," she whispered. Mama Emeka looked back at Daniel. "Your sight returned because your heart opened," she said. "But remember this, seeing is not only with eyes." Her breathing slowed. Daniel felt panic rise. "Mama," he cried. She smiled one last time. "Be good," she whispered. Her hand slipped from his chest. And then, stillness, no breath, no movement. Mama Emeka was gone. The world seemed to stop. The crowd fell silent. Daniel screamed. A sound raw and broken pulled from the deepest part of his soul. He bent over her body, holding her thin hands, rocking slightly like a child who had lost his mother. "I'm sorry," he cried. "I'm so sorry." Zara wrapped her arms around him, crying too. That day, Daniel buried Mama Emeka with honor. No cameras, no speeches, just respect. He paid for a simple, peaceful burial. Clean clothes, a quiet place, fresh flowers. He stood at her grave, holding Zara's hand, and spoke softly. "I will never forget," he promised. "I will live right." The wind moved gently, as if in reply. Weeks passed. Daniel's sight returned fully, not suddenly, gradually, but this time it stayed. The doctors called it a miracle. Daniel called it mercy. He returned to work, but differently. He listened. He asked names. He waited. The company changed. Policies shifted. Workers were treated with dignity. Mistakes were corrected, not punished. Money was made, but not at the cost of people. Zara stood beside him through it all, stronger, calmer, certain. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, Daniel turned to her. "I see the world differently now," he said. She smiled. "Because you finally see people." He nodded. "Yes." This story teaches that pride blinds faster than darkness. It teaches that how you treat the weakest person matters more than how you impress the strongest. It shows that change is not proven by words, but by what you choose when no one is forcing you. And it reminds us that forgiveness opens doors, but humility keeps them open. Daniel began as a successful man with hidden arrogance. Power made him impatient. Speed made him careless. He didn't think he was cruel. He just thought he was important. Losing his sight stripped away his false confidence and forced him to feel what he made others feel: fear, helplessness, and silence. True healing began only when he stopped trying to fix his image and started fixing his heart. Zara represents steady love, not blind loyalty, but courageous support. She did not excuse Daniel's wrongdoing, yet she refused to abandon him. Her strength lay in staying honest while staying present. She is the quiet force that kept Daniel grounded. Mama Emeka symbolizes conscience and consequence. She was not evil, she was not revenge, she was a mirror, showing Daniel who he truly was and who he could become. Her power was not in punishment, but in giving a chance to change. Daniel never slapped another human being. Again, not with his hand, not with his words, not with his silence. And every morning, when he opened his eyes and saw the world clearly, he remembered, seeing is easy. Respect is the real vision. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.